have a favorite restaurant here? Mine is currently Whetstone, but it changes. A pleasure.
One day, I'm gonna leave New Atlantis for good. I wonder if I'll miss New Atlantis when Tony and I leave. No, probably not. Oh, hi there! I'm doing great. How about you? Glad to hear it. Yeah, life is good, isn't it? I've been trying to save up enough money so that I can go explore the settled systems with my boyfriend, Tony. I think we're finally getting close. Tony and I want to see what else is out there. I love my job, but there has to be more to life than just being a janitor in New Atlantis. What about you? Have you gone on any adventures? What? You killed a what? Don't get me wrong, that's cool. But also scary. I cleaned up a kid's vomit today. 4th time this week. Well, that depends. Are you a foodie or a shopper? I guess I won't ask. But there is a place called The Well that might be more your style. I don't go down there myself. It can be pretty dangerous. Really? Well, I guess you're right. I'm feeling a bit run down. I really love my job, but it's hard work and long hours. I could definitely use a Terracino from Terra Brew right now. Really? That's so sweet. I really appreciate it. See you around.
Authorized personnel only. Your friend has to stay here.
Well, what a pleasant surprise. When I heard you and Hadrian were headed for Londinian of all places, I presumed you must be onto something big. Did you find what you were looking for? seen in many years. Why? Is there some way I could be of assistance? Were you able to recover what you were looking for? Now, what in the heavens would make you claim something as ludicrous as that? Did you? Well, I don't know what you think you heard on this recording, but I sincerely hope you didn't come to the wrong conclusions. After all, given the Cabinet's current state of anxiety, they might misinterpret such a discovery to mean I could have been involved with the attacks. Perhaps I can convince you to keep this among us. Biding your time, then? You want to hear the words, then? I did it. The Terramorph attacks on Tau Ceti, New Atlantis. My doing. Years of coordination between my associate and I. Figuring out how to deploy the Lazarus plant's pollen outside of Londinian. Learning to synthesize it. Use it as a weapon. Now, being as clever as you are, I'm sure you have thoughts on why I might do such a thing. Oh, my revenge was far from petty, Captain. The attacks were a correction. When I discovered the plant, I did consider handing over what I'd found, but we were at war. And I couldn't risk information that dangerous falling into the wrong hands. So I ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport, fixing two problems at once. Halting the spread of the city's Terramorph outbreak, and sealing away knowledge of the plant's potential. Simple to say now, but with the outbreak raging from a barely understood source, the moment demanded quick action. So I did what was required. I removed a dangerous variable from an already catastrophic war. But then, as the war ended, my trial, my execution, I made a decision. After all, I'd given everything for the colonies. My life as I knew it included. And what did I get in return? Was there any effort by the UC to protect my legacy? My daughter's legacy? No. We were sacrificed when all we did was serve. So I kept what I'd learned and arranged the attacks to set things right again. My daughter, she becomes a hero. I become a trusted advisor, having found Kaiser, the research team, and cement my new position of influence when I hand them the name of the person responsible for the attack on New Atlantis. The dear departed Dr. Reginald Orlays, the associate who aided me all these years, and whom I always slated to take the fall. What luck he was stopped dead before he could hurt anyone else. His decades on the run brought to an end by another unlikely hero. You. wasn't easy. But the beauty of being loathed is that people will do whatever they can not to deal with you. They wanted to pretend I didn't exist. And so I used their blind eye to my advantage. Still, establishing a back channel to Orlays via the UC recovery teams was painstaking work. I've led campaigns less nerve-wracking. They believed they were luring in wanted criminals, but were in fact delivering precisely encoded slates, filled with instructions invisible to any but their recipient, dropped off at just the right moments to fall into the proper hands. All without the UC realizing whom they were actually dealing with. Slow work. But as you can see, ultimately effective. Can't remember the many lives you've taken. Orlays was the man whose death you brought about around the moon of Etheria, the pilot of the Warlock, the man I had to eliminate, to hide my secret. There are no heroes without a villain. I simply arranged the opportunity for us to overcome one and become the other. And we all benefited. It's why I had Orlays reprogram Kaiser. Had that old machine guide you to where I found the plant all those years ago. I went to great lengths to ensure your and Hadrian's success. And look at the results. I know for a fact the Cabinet's planning to honor both you and Hadrian once this is all done. Isn't that preferable to languishing away in obscurity? Running jobs on the tail end of nowhere for the Vanguard? With only the vague hopes of perhaps earning the right to buy a home in the well someday. Something befitting the dedication to the colonies you two have shown. While of course they can't give you a command, responsibility like that has to be earned. The Cabinet does have access to considerable resources. I expect you'll be quite pleased with the result, and none of it would have happened without my intervention. Precisely. And let's not forget the importance of our actual endgame. Eliminating the Terramorphs. Securing knowledge of the Lazarus plant. What we've set in motion is going to protect thousands, maybe millions of lives. I'm simply requesting one more life be protected. Mine. I've already sent along the evidence of Orlays' role in the attacks to the Cabinet, leaving out my own involvement. All I ask is that you confirm as much to the Cabinet. Tell them that it was Orlays and Orlays alone. After all, I do still have a long list of threats to the UC. This needn't be the end of our good works together. And how many have you killed to get where you are now? There are no great works that don't cost lives, Captain. Whether it's winning a war, or digging a tram tunnel. So we sacrificed a few dozen in the attacks to possibly protect millions. That seems like a fair exchange to me. I only hope you'll see the same, and leave my name out of the discussions to come. Hunting down criminals and other threats to the United Colonies. I expect they'll give me a bit more free range once this is all over. You would help me like you did with Orlays. Track them down, and keep them from doing harm to the United Colonies. Impossible, though, if the Cabinet learns I'm the one responsible for the attacks. Splendid. Then I won't keep you. You've got important work, after all. Here's to a bright future.
Authorized personnel only. Your friend has to stay here.
Perfect timing. We just got in. So on our end, good news. The microbe and the Asylees are both as effective against heat leeches as they are against terramorphs.
Means either plan should work for clearing those critters off our worlds.
Considering what the Lazarus plant is capable of, I don't think we can deal with those things fast enough. I already sent along info to the Cabinet to get them up to speed. So what about your end? Did you find anything? Did my father tell you what he knew about the Lazarus plant? I knew it. The second I heard that recording, I knew. Why? Did he say why he did it? It takes some deeply twisted logic to think anything did more harm to the Sanan name than him.
Somehow, after all that has transpired, he still believes himself to be the hero. He created this whole situation just so others would see him the way he sees himself. But all it has done is further expose him for what he really is.
Well, once we inform the Cabinet, they can ensure he won't be able to do anything like this ever again. My hope would be that whatever connections he's got to the outside world disappear. Make sure his future schemes and machinations stay in his cell with him. But honestly, I'm not sure. He's in a unique position, and has done a special kind of harm to the colonies. I'm sure he did. But he killed dozens of people. And I'm not about to let him get away with something like that. So I guess that gives us our final answer. Nothing left to do but head in and see what the Cabinet thinks of it all. Unless there was more to discuss. This might be our last opportunity to talk things through before the Cabinet weighs in on a decision regarding the Terramorphs. It's hard to know. Unlike my father, the cabinet aren't butchers. But killing UC citizens, along with everything else he's done, is unforgivable. But if you're really that concerned, you could request they be lenient. They might be willing to spare him. Asylees aren't hostile to humans, but they are megafauna. If someone decides to pick a fight with one, it could get ugly. But they've already been spread far and wide once before when the UC was raising them as livestock, so the risk of introducing them to new worlds is minimal. Using them to clean up the terramorphs and leeches, though, it's not going to be nearly as expedient as the microbe would be. Given what we know now about the Lazarus plant, the speed of the job does matter. But going with the Asylees, we're at least dealing with known risks.
Microbe is gonna make the cleanup a whole lot quicker. If we're concerned about this Lazarus plant getting deployed again, that's the way to go.
The cabinet can secure the Lazarus plant, and then we're not risking any surprises when it comes to dealing with a microbe.
You're being paranoid. You know the science. You know we can make this safe.
I do know the science. I also know math. And a 1 in a million chance of a mutation isn't 0. So I guess we're still in discussion. Probably best at this point to let the cabinet weigh in, see if they have a preference. They are.
Microbe needed minimal adjustment to account for heat leech anatomy.
And the Asylees seem like they're even better at tracking leeches than morphs.
Hell of a sight to watch, though, when they catch 'em. Like an open airlock guzzling angry spaghetti.
And here we go.
Welcome back, all of you. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. But according to Hadrian's report, and the second one I just received, it seems the Terramorph attack on New Atlantis was no random occurrence, but a planned strike. Is what I'm reading here true?
My God.
An attack? Using terramorphs? How is that possible?
You will all receive a full briefing once we're done here. So then, is what the second report claims correct? Did Reginald Orlays commit these attacks, Captain?
Orlays? It's true, ma'am. I heard the recording myself. My father figured out how to use terramorphs as weapons.
He did what?
That's impossible. He doesn't have the kind of access to...
Clearly, he made his own access, Chief Sarkin. Madam President, I have been saying for years that not dealing with that man was gonna end in tragedy.
Enough! I hope everyone here understands that what has just been shared is a state secret of the highest order. This information does not leave this room. Now, that's quite the accusation you're leveling, considering Francois Sinon has not left containment for the better part of 2 decades. You have evidence to back this up?
It just transformed. A terramorph out of thin air.
Prophets help us. Is that actually him?
I'd know that voice anywhere. That's Francois.
He knew they could do this. And said nothing.
He's a sociopath. Plain and simple, ma'am.
Officer, please collect that recording.
Yes, ma'am. Begging your pardon, Captain.
We'll, of course, be launching a full investigation into how this could have happened. Though I have little doubt the Admiral will be quick to share all he knows on the subject once confronted with that recording. Chief Yassine, can you send one of your interrogators to have a little chat with the Admiral?
I'll issue the order immediately.
Good. Combined with everything else you all have uncovered. Well, I don't think the United Colonies can thank you enough. We failed the people of the colonies by not dealing with Vayvictus sooner. I intend to rectify that mistake immediately. That will be up to the cabinet to decide. But I don't appreciate our mercy being taken advantage of. That's truly disconcerting to hear. But cutting off Vayvictus's contact with the outside world is likely to be just the beginning of his punishment. I'm not sure I see why someone with UC blood on their hands would merit leniency. But I will note your request when the decision is made. Now, with our villain unmasked, we can attend to the other matters at hand. With the threads you've brought together here, the Lazarus plant, the attacks, the heat leeches. The three of you have likely spared thousands of lives. But it now falls to the cabinet to ensure this can never happen again. As such, the cabinet will be securing the Lazarus plant on Londinian. All materials related to the plant will be classified to ensure no one else learns its true nature.
A sound decision, Madam President.
Well, luckily the natural hostility of Londinian makes keeping out trespassers relatively easy. But we'll ensure its growth is contained, that access to the plant is only permitted via highly regulated clearances, and that our troop presence on Londinian is increased.
Tell the Freestar Collective. Wow. So they have another tool to utilize against us?
I'm in agreement. I fail to see the value here.
Agreed. Any effort to de-escalate the situation should be considered. Being as open as possible would be a valuable move.
Oh, that is an interesting idea. A grand gesture to further display this cabinet doesn't think like those of the past.
The observers on Mars have proven such a gesture can bear fruit.
So, you want us to make nice with the Collective by sharing our state secrets?
No, I want us to display plainly the UC's actual intentions, that the plant will never be used as a weapon again.
That does sound worthwhile, Chief Kulkarni. Very well. We'll get the Collective involved in the management. Thank you for the suggestion, Captain. So then, to our final topic. The Cabinet has agreed to implement a plan that will deal with the Terramorph, and now also Heat Leech presence on human worlds. In fact, we've already begun enacting measures to check all UC ports and settlements for undiscovered nests. But we all understand this is only a partial solution. The project we're embarking on will be a long and difficult one. So our first step must be deciding how exactly this all will be handled.
Madam President, this microbe is clearly too much of a risk. The Aseles are the safer approach.
To someone with limited knowledge of biology, perhaps? The technology behind the microbe is solved science, Madam President. It isn't dangerous. Using it to wipe out the Terramorphs would be the quickest path to protecting humanity.
And fast results always lead to the best outcomes, don't they?
As you can see, there remains debate among the cabinet. We were hoping your group might issue a recommendation. Major?
We've been having similar debates ourselves, but the captain has yet to weigh in.
I see. Captain, I know this may not be your area of expertise, but we'd like to know your take on the matter. Please, ask. The responsibilities will be spread across multiple branches of the UC. Research and day-to-day administration will be handled by a new group under the Science Division. All diplomatic concerns and coordination will fall to Chief Yassine and Interstellar Affairs. But most of the actual on-the-ground work, that'll be handled by the Vanguard.
Infinitesimally low.
But not zero.
The chance of a starship landing on you as you sit here isn't zero, yet you still attended. Personally, my fear isn't mutation, but Terramorphs developing a resistance. But that's something our group can continue to address if we decide to take this approach, as I believe we should.
This won't work without them.
Exactly right, ma'am. The Interstellar Affairs Office has already begun reaching out to worlds throughout the settled systems, informing them of the risks we're all facing, and that the UC has a plan to prevent what happened on New Atlantis from happening elsewhere. Thus far, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. The spirit of mutual cooperation displayed between the UC and the Freestar Collective in managing the Terramorph data set a good tone for the work we're doing, Captain. We expect we'll hit some resistance, but our office has plenty of carrots and sticks to ensure the program's widespread success.
I can feel this one. While intimidating creatures, certainly, Aseles are docile and less provoked. They're honestly closer to oversized mobile scanners than deadly predators. The concern is that, while all proposed methods will be long-term efforts, the Aseles are the slowest. Slow to breed, slow to deploy. We do everything we could to accelerate that process, including mustering some of our mothballed cloning technologies. But if we do elect to use this method, we'll be doing things at the pace of a megafauna, which is not an expedient one.
Very well. Then did you have a preference on the method we should deploy? I believe we have a responsibility to do something, yes. Heavens forbid, years from now, someone reopens the Pandora's box that Vivictus discovered. It falls to us to enact every measure required to ensure that day never comes.
Glad to see someone's not afraid of a little applied genetics. The science division is in full agreement.
Let us hope this science division truly knows what they are doing.
Grand threats merit grand actions, and grand actions are precisely what our group does.
Order, please. And Major Sinan? Dr. Walker, you'd find this acceptable?
We trust the captain's judgment.
Then the matter is settled. We'll begin the process immediately. Today marks day one for the United Colonies Terramorph Management Division, making you three the founding members of the TMD. As befits such a group, the Cabinet wanted to display its gratitude. Today, we will be adding 3 new Class 1 citizens to our ranks.
Class 1? For the 3 of us? Are you joking?
What he means to say is, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
It's a status reserved only for those who've dedicated their lives to the United Colonies, or done great things for its cause. Class 1s enjoy an ample credit disbursement, an additional reduction on the cost of colonial goods. And I'm told the penthouse is rather impressive. You all have earned it. Now, there's much to be done. Major Sinan, Dr. Walker, I hope you two are willing to continue your efforts, spearheading the TMD's research on Mars.
We'd be honored, ma'am.
And as a member of both the Vanguard and the TMD, I believe you, Captain, will have your pick of duties. Speak to your commander. Tuala, if I recall correctly. He should be able to provide you with assignments going forward, plus help you collect the benefits that come with being named Class 1. On behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our sincerest gratitude. This meeting is adjourned.
When the galaxy learns the truth about heat leeches, they're gonna be begging for our help. And we have plenty of tools to convince the stubborn.
That your ship that landed not too long ago? It sure is something. evening, sir.
I do appreciate that not every meter of land was plowed under to build this city. This tree is far too grand for such a fate.
Hey, you want to help me move some stuff into my new apartment?
I used to be an actuary.
Excuse me.
Hello, and welcome to Terra Brew. How may I serve you? Certainly. Please take your time.
Something on your mind? I am always willing to carry an extra weapon. Or two. Or three. I appreciate having your ear. Something important, or just conversation?
I'm so excited to see Tony after work. Another day, another credit. Oh, thank you so much. Soon I'll be coursing with bountiful energy. I'll be the most enthusiastic janitor in New Atlantis. Here, take this. I found it while I was cleaning. I figured you might find a use for it. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Well, well, I've got to say, this is a first. I've never had a Class 1 citizen in my ranks before. Congratulations, Captain. No need to thank me. You brought this all on yourself. I've already gone ahead and processed your Class 1 benefits. All UC goods and services should now have a thanks for protecting the colonies discount. And the credits should be in your account now. But to get into your penthouse, you'll have to pay a visit to the Aphelion Realty office. They should be able to grant you access. Just out the front door and across the plaza, by the embassies. Look for the Aphelion sign. Higher-ups wanted to make sure you know how much they appreciate what you've done. But, with all that squared, it's time to get you a new assignment. There are your standard Vanguard missions, putting those pilot skills to use defending UC space. Or you could help the TMD in cleaning up terramorphs. Oh, and I got a request from Dr. Walker. Wanted your help collecting biological samples to keep an eye out for any, new alien threats on the horizon. Any of those missions call to you? Sure. He'll have all the specifics. If you find yourself looking for more work, you know where to find me.
have something you might be interested in. If you are free soon, could we talk?
Time to join the stars.
Orbital pattern locked in. Well, you didn't put us in the planet, so it must be the right place.
Please maintain course and prepare to be scanned. Scan complete. Welcome to Mars. You are cleared to land at Sidonia.
But you all are here because you can handle it. So any questions, concerns, anything at all giving you pause, you come see Dr. Walker or I. Little problems left unchecked become big problems. And we fix big problems here, not make them. Now let's get to work. Welcome everyone to the TMD.
Okay. Hello.
Hey. Howdy.
Yes?
Interest you in a new assignment? No one else I'd rather have doing it. Be seeing you. Why, hello, fellow Class 1 citizen. That's never gonna get old. Now, was there something you needed? Oh yeah, known each other since the Xenoweapons team first set up on Mars. You can imagine my shock when I walked into this place for the first time and found some plucky 19-year-old was gonna be my partner. We were supposed to be co-heads initially, but you've dealt with Hadrian. You can imagine about how long that lasted. But the Major knew her stuff. Saw potential in all her staff and knew how to get the best out of them. Kind of bull only an uncynical woman like Hadrian could pull off. For all the damage that group did, we were, well, we were real tight-knit. Having that back, it's nice. Who knows? Probably need to cut me down and count the rings to figure it out at this point. I joined UC DRIP, Defense Research and Initiative Program, right after graduation. Worked on all kinds of projects, but I fell hard for Xenobio. Way I saw it, nature had already figured out plenty more than we ever will. So, why not just copy some of the answers? Initially, it was a lot of material sciences, using carapace to make tougher ship hulls, biofluids for helmet glass that didn't fog. But when the war started looming, top brass in the UC military had other ideas for what we should be looking into. That's where xenoweapons got started. There was a team before us, set up in some secret base somewhere, that laid down a fair bit of groundwork on the field. But when a lab accident took them down, they called on Hadrian and I to take up the mantle, set in motion everything that's come since. Why? You want to watch an old man squirm? What we did back then, we were trying to win a war. We used every tool we had, tools we were permitted to use at the time, to try and win it. Never said I didn't. Whole point was to create weapons so scary every Freestar Collective boy and girl would drop their arms and run home. We thought, well, we hoped it would be comparatively merciful. People just giving up instead of deploying to the battlefield. Wrong on that front too. But at least now, with the TMD, some of that work is finally being put to better ends. Makes looking back a little less painful. You heard right. These terramorph attacks, they caught the UC off guard. UC Brass doesn't like that. So, they want us patrolling the front lines of xenological life, ensure we've got intel on any possible new alien threats. Which means, we need someone to track down said aliens, and harvest samples from them. And not just any sample from these animals is gonna do either. We're trying to build a comprehensive picture here, which requires specific cells from specific family lines of some oftentimes unfriendly creatures. But since dealing with unfriendly creatures falls square in your wheelhouse, well, I figured we might be able to recruit you for the task. Pretty much every beast, behemoth, critter, and chimera humanity's run across is on the list. But we can send in-house researchers after the little guys. Your job will be primarily dealing with the, more troublesome species. This isn't the same sort of harvesting you and Hadrian were doing with the Terramorphs. A little will go a long way here. If you can get close enough to these creatures to harvest from them directly, you should be able to collect what we need without killing them. I checked with Lieutenant Walter before heading out. A good EM weapon could serve you well on these missions. Though, if heavens forbid, there's no viable option other than putting the things down. We're only talking a select few specimens here. These populations will recover. Glad to hear it. There is just one additional wrinkle. UC spec this as a one-person job, but I convinced them this sort of task merits expert backup. So, if you're interested, they've agreed to let you take Hadrian with you. You'll have to convince her, of course, but I don't think she'll fight you too badly. We could use Hadrian here, absolutely, but we have other scientists. Not a lot of other people can go up against apex predators and come home again and again. You and Hadrian are the right people for this job. I expect she wouldn't mind too badly being out there herself, so pay her a visit before you head out. Now, let's get you the details of your first quarry. Here you go. Head there, find your specimens, and bring those samples back here. I'll have a tech waiting outside to collect them from you. And remember, proximity should be all you need to get your samples. Get close, harvest, and get out before they spot you. Don't let them get the best of you, all right?
Captain, looks like we missed each other back at Mast. Listen, I just wanted to say, I could have never guessed where all this was going to lead. But now, knowing what I do, that my father truly is the monster I always thought he was. Well, I've just spent a lot of my life in pursuit of the truth. So, you bringing it straight to me, it just means a lot. Just glad it was me. You know, I was thinking, while we were up on that podium, if I wanted to try and see him again. But I knew the answer before I even finished the thought. I didn't. Because confronting him, what would I have gained from that? From letting him remind me I can never truly be rid of him? Nothing. Now, all I'd be doing is acknowledging that he still has some sway over my life. And while I can't do anything about his role in my past, I'm not about to let him control my future. And thanks to what we've done together, that future is brighter than it has been in a long time. Words can't do justice to how grateful I am for that. He said that? I mean, I guess. You're sure you'd really want me to come with you? Yeah, maybe. I have to admit, that trip to Londinian whetted my appetite for field work. I saw myself at the TMD for the long haul, but if Percival already okayed this, then I'm in. If you really need backup out there, I'll watch your 6. You can count on me to pull my weight. I'll always help out in combat, and I'm happy to assist you with any research, too. Having an extra xenosociologist around on this assignment sure couldn't hurt. We'll be dealing with plenty of hostile creatures. Yeah, I think so, too. Thank you for the offer. Really. It was unexpected, but I think this will be for the best. Both for me and for the settled systems. I'll head out soon. I just need to talk to Percival before I go. He's gonna get an earful for arranging this without talking to me about it first. See you, Captain.
It is a relief to know that the Terramorphs are being dealt with. I wanted to tell you that I think you made the right decision. The microbes will ensure this is not a problem for much longer. Agreed. There's no point in risking further lives to deal with them. I only hope that using these microbes does not create more unforeseen problems later on. I admire your confidence, and I do hope you are right. And I must say, I find it curious that you would agree keeping the Lazarus plant around is a good idea. It seems an additional, unnecessary risk. I do not think some potential future use outweighs the risk it poses now. At least the Freestar Collective will also know of its existence. Otherwise, I worry it would be too tempting for the UC to use as a weapon. Well, it is good to know that this particular threat is behind us, and you have done a service to all who live in the settled systems. You are a welcome diversion. What do you need? Yes, please. He is a quiet man. Reserved. I believe he had lived through a great many hardships, though he never spoke of them. I never felt it proper to ask. He valued his personal space and quiet moments. It was one thing we always shared in common. Years ago, I had heard he was alive, but did not attempt to contact him. I did not feel it was right. I hope this is not a mistake. I do not know, not for sure. I did not see them fall that day, and I suppose I have hoped they survived. I admit I have not investigated before now, at least in part because of what I feared I might learn. House Varun is in a distant corner of space, far away from the rest of the settled systems. While this serves our interests, it can also pose challenges. Many critical resources are scarce, and diplomatic relations with the United Colonies and Freestar Collective were tense at the best of times. It was the most practical way to acquire what we need, without raising too many questions. It still is. All right. If you have more questions, I shall do my best to answer them. We will speak again.
Pardon.
Sounds like we finally got some real marching orders from the cabinet. I presume that's your doing. Well, I'm here to provide whatever support I can. No more reliable hardware in the galaxy.
Hello.